From painting to photography, from beadwork to woodworking, KQAL FM on the campus of Winona State University presents Art Beat. Art Beat highlights the work and accomplishments of local artists from in and around Winona. Support for Art Beat is made possible by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
Today on Art Beat, we're taking photography to new heights with Seth Thompson. How does Seth reach these new heights? With a drone. Seth has been studying drone photography at Winona State University. So I sat down with Seth to get the lowdown on shooting photos from high up. I'm Bill Stoneberg. Stick around as we hear about drone photography with Seth Thompson on today's Art Beat. I'm here with Seth Thompson. He's a Winona State University student who recently had an exhibit on drone photography up in Crisco Commons on the Winona State University campus. Great photos. Really like the perspective you got with the drone. Seth, thank you. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for inviting me to be here, Bill. I appreciate your interest in wanting to hear some of my perspectives.
Yeah, well, I'm really interested. I looked at the exhibit. You got some great stuff, and I'm really curious as to how this drone photography works. I studied photography here at Winona State, and we didn't have drones back then, so I'm like, wow, and it would have been, I did a lot of video work, and man, if we would have had a drone back when I was doing that.
Don't need the crane shots anymore.
Yeah, you don't need a crane, which is super expensive. I mean, out of our reach most of the time, so all the time, in fact. First off, what got you interested in drone photography specifically?
So that's a good question there, Bill. All right, so I guess I'll just start the start. I got into photography my freshman year at Winona State. I was a mass comm student. I was in the mass comm program. I took can't think of the name of the class. Something with Greer. He's a professor. He's retiring this year. He's a photography guy. Visual communications. It was visual communications.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Took that, and I was not good at it. I kind of half-assed the class. I didn't give a shit. I was just partying and, doing college stuff that I was as a 19-year-old,
right?
What most 19-year-olds are up to.
We all know how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, as time progressed, I'm a perfectionist, so I wanted to get better, and I pushed myself to become a better photographer, and I really just poured my time and my effort into it. After about 2 years of doing that, my junior year of college, I worked for Winona State's Marcom department, the marketing communications. Nice. That was pre-KQAL days for me. I did that up until 2020 happened and COVID happened. Got laid off. We got fired from my job by Winona State. Thanks, Winona State, for firing me. But then, it put me in a good position where I had nothing to do. I had all this free time. Right. I needed to take some summer classes, and I saw that Greer was offering a drone class. So I was like, hey, I'm interested in that. That was actually, when I came to Winona State, he was like, hey, this is a class you could take someday. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'd like to take that. But it wasn't available to me until, last spring.
Oh, okay.
So I took it, and I loved it. And I was the only kid during COVID that would meet with him to fly the drone during classes.
So you got a lot of flying time.
Exactly, yeah.
Cool.
So I had a lot of fly time with him. He's a licensed Part 107 FAA drone pilot, which just means legally he can do everything and whatnot.
Right.
The
Nice.
FAA legally says you can do that stuff. So as a student under him, I was training and learning the different stuff on how to fly a drone and whatnot. I got my bearings. Then I eventually bought my own drone.
Ooh, nice.
Last summer in 2020. So, and then I just kind of started just dedicating a lot of time to it, taking pictures around Winona, La Crosse, Rochester, the Twin Cities areas, all in areas where it's legal to take pictures in and operate legally and whatnot.
Yeah. You got a lot of good shots of kind of iconic Winona, landmarks and things.
Landmarks, definitely, yeah.
No. Sugarloaf and very cool stuff. So what? Besides what interested you the most? Besides the fact that it can replace a crane, you can get the height out of it and get aerial photos. What else can you do with it? That are there other things?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of cool little things that you can do with the drone. Besides, you can do photography, obviously, and videography. You can film and take photos. You can do time lapses.
Ooh,
so I can take long form time lapses.
Wow. So does the drone have to be real steady in its position up there?
Yeah. So it's kind of wobbly, but the thing is, like, it has a stabilizer built into it. There's like a gimbal and a stabilizer that keeps the camera super steady.
Oh wow.
It doesn't keep it super steady.
Right, but
it mainly depends on like what the wind speeds are and like the weather conditions.
Yeah.
So if it's really windy, it won't be. But on a day like where there's no wind speed or anything, it's pretty nice and solid.
Do you have to take that into account then? Like when you're planning to go out on a shoot, and do something, do you have to look at the weather and the wind speed and stuff?
100%. Yeah. No, every time, it's part of like the safe way on how to fly. There's like a log that you do, like you write down a log of like, well, like what the purpose of your flight is. You got to check like the wind speeds and the conditions and whatnot. Make sure it's safe to fly in. Make sure it's like uncontrolled airspace. Make sure it's not a controlled airspace. That's a big thing.
Okay.
And then as long as you just have to make sure that you're not flying over anybody that you could hurt, any property that I could like cause damage to. And just try to be safe with it. But definitely, like, always got to check like the conditions. There's like if it's too cold, the batteries will die quickly, and the drone could just have like mechanical failure.
Right.
So yeah, no, definitely, like you got to check everything around you before you fly.
So it's, photography itself is pretty involved, but so there's like all these added layers to it. It's kind of
definitely.
Neat.
Yeah. And then another unique thing is I need a visual observer anytime I fly. So when I'm flying it, I'm watching the controls and I'm watching the drone through like the screen on my phone because the phone is hooked up to the controller, and then I can watch what's going on through the drone through that. So then I can't be looking up in the sky and like seeing where the drone is. There might be a bird that comes in and comes in my path, or maybe like a tree or a bridge or a sign or something that I can't see. So that's why I need a visual observer with me to make sure that I have a clear path and I don't cause any damage to anything or put the drone at risk of being like attacked by like a bird of prey.
Wow. Have you run into that at all yet?
Yeah, actually one time, only once, I ran into that. I was with Professor Greer. This was last May. This was during my class. We were flying down at what's it called? Like kind of near Levy Park. So in Winona, where the bridges are, and I flew the drone underneath the bridges. And there was birds' nests under there. So these birds were just going crazy because to the birds, they don't know that's a drone. They just think it's a weird, alien bird. Yeah. So they're trying to protect their nests. So they just like were swarming the drone, just like flying around it, just like pestering it, trying to get me to fly away. And literally, they're just like swarming it everywhere. So, and that's not really like the best thing ever because you could hurt the drone. And like, lose it and into the lake, and I would have to go swimming.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I never would have thought of that. Birds of prey and other birds. There's lots to think about. That's pretty cool. Is it hard to learn to like fly it and photograph? So you're seeing what it sees through your screen, right?
Yep.
Is that kind of difficult to do to get to master?
Yeah, I'd say everything, just like anything, it takes time. For me, I was initially into doing video with it. So the first 3 to 4 months I was flying a drone, I was specifically only making videos and just getting like different smooth flight patterns down. Because there's a lot of different like shots that you can do, like zoom out, zoom ins. You can do anything, you know what I mean?
Cool.
It's harder to explain just like on the spot all these different shots right now, but definitely it took me a while to get into doing the video to perfecting that. But then after a while I realized doing the photography is way easier, and I already can edit photos really well. I already know how to do all that. So
the camera in the drone, is it like stationary in relation to the drone, and then you move the drone to move the camera, or does the camera have a separate like movement? Or
good question. So there's a gimbal on the camera. And on the controller, there's a thing that can make the camera tilt down a 90-degree angle. And back up a 90-degree angle.
Oh, cool. So it can face forward or down.
It goes forward and down. So it can go 90 degrees down, and then can go straight anywhere in between.
Cool. Oh, wow.
So like the football field pictures I took, the camera's facing straight down.
Straight down. Oh, nice.
Then like in the Sugarloaf pictures I took, the camera's more straight up.
Right.
But when I'm really high up, sometimes I'll have like a
kind of angle,
45-degree angle.
Yeah. Okay. How about other controls like your shutter speed and aperture when you're doing stills?
All of that's on it.
You can control all that stuff.
All of it.
And you control it from the ground?
Yep, from the controller.
Oh, cool. So you can change that.
Anything that's in like a normal camera, like the ISO, the shutter speed, aperture, cool. All of that's on it. And there's different. Another thing that's different is since we're up in the sky. Like depends on the time of the day, but sometimes the camera gets really overexposed in the shots, and it's way too bright because you're up there with the sun.
And there's so much light. Yeah.
So there's ND filters, which are essentially what I would consider sunglasses for the drone camera.
Right. Neutral density. Right?
Yeah, and it's like like those lenses that people have that turn into sunglasses when you walk outside.
Okay.
Sure. Like the frames that change. So
yep.
There's those, and I have to switch those out depending on what the weather conditions are like.
Right. Oh wow! So I suppose you could get some really amazing stuff with the varying weather. Like, have you tried doing like sunsets or sunrises on different conditions, like a misty day or a rainy day? Or
yeah, I tried not to fly in the rainy days just because it might malfunction the drone.
Okay,
I've tried to do snow. I can fly in the snow.
Really?
It's kind of not advised.
Not ideal.
It's they like the drone books and the FAA don't want you to, but sometimes you just got to push your drone to the limit. You know what I mean? Like you see like people like Casey Neistat on YouTube doing crazy things with his drone, but I like to keep it, safe. I don't got a lot of money, so
right.
I have insurance on my drone, but one wrong move and I'm without a drone for a couple of months. So.
Right. You don't want that.
Yeah,
definitely.
But definitely like misty mornings, that's a little different. I've gotten a lot of different sunrises and sunsets, and even just in Minnesota, like. Just by the time of the year, like whether it's fall, winter, spring, or summer, there's crazy different colors in the sky.
Yeah.
I was in Arizona during December, and I got some crazy sunset pictures down there. Those sunsets are crazy. I just like to do different stuff with it.
Awesome. Oh man, that is, I'm impressed. I'm really impressed because I was wondering about that. Like, how do you adjust the camera up there? I didn't know if you had to set it before it left or. That is pretty amazing to do all of that, and no wonder you need like a spotter type person to watch it. That is pretty cool.
It's actually illegal to try to mess with a pilot while they're flying.
Oh,
so like if there's a pilot flying in public, somebody's flying a drone, you can't annoy him because that's illegal.
You can't go up to him and be like, hey, you
can't fly here. You don't have a permit to fly here. I can fly anywhere I want.
Right.
I can fly anywhere. I've been kind of not like confronted by people, but people may be like, oh, do you have a permit to fly here? I don't need a permit because nobody owns the sky.
Right, there you go. Unless it's like probably above an airport or something like that, or
different.
A military base.
And that's different, you know what I mean? That's different. But like if somebody were to be like, oh, you can't take a picture of me, you can't fly over my property, not that I'm even doing that. Right. Some people just have like this main character syndrome where they think that they're getting photographed, but I'm not taking pictures of them.
Right.
But there's a lot of.
You ever think about? I know back in the day, like my grandparents, like salesmen would stop by and they'd be like, "Here's a photograph of your farm, an aerial photograph. We were flying over, we took pictures of all the farms. Here's yours. You want to buy it? You ever think about doing stuff like that? Just taking aerial photos for people and stuff.
100%. That's the next stage of That's the next step for me, post college after I graduate, and be trying to make more money off of my passions. So
right, yeah,
definitely, nothing is for sale now, but after I'm graduated, things will be different.
Right.
Pursuing a career with that.
Yeah. And I suppose maybe independent films, things like that. They might need drone pilots.
100%. I'm trying to do anything, from my own passions try to do commercial work, whether that's agricultural or urban,
right,
or even creative works with it. If in the film industry, like independent filmmakers, be more than willing to work with them.
Very cool. Oh, there's tons of opportunity,
and I'd make my own films too, hopefully.
Right, for sure. So, like the photos that I saw in the exhibit the other day, is there a way people can see that stuff and see more of your work online or anywhere? Or
100%. So, I have 2 different places that people can check my work out. You can follow me on Instagram at Seth Thompson. I have That's where I put a majority of
cool.
My new pictures at.
Right.
That's where my biggest following is. So that's where I post like a lot of my Winona pictures or Wisconsin pictures.
Right.
Wherever I'm taking pictures at.
Right.
I also have a website that's under work right now.
Okay.
It's for my portfolio class so I can graduate.
Right.
But then I'm going to be buying my own domain name.
Okay. Nice.
Then I'm going to eventually, have like a website available for people to look at stuff. If they want to buy prints, then they can do that and whatnot. But that's someday. That's down the line.
Right. Okay. So yeah, Instagram, best place to find your photos and stuff, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Well, Seth, thanks for coming on the show. Congratulations on graduating.
Hey, thank you.
I know it hasn't happened yet, but
soon, this summer.
Very soon, right?
This summer, only 2 months.
Yeah. So congrats, and the photos look great. Thank you for coming on the show. It was very
thanks
interesting.
Thanks for having me, Bill. I appreciate it. First time ever on the Art Beat, so it's awesome.
Thanks again to Seth Thompson for joining us today on Art Beat. To see Seth's work, look up Seth Thompson Drone Photography on Instagram. For more conversations on art, tune into Art Beat Tuesdays at 12:30 right here on 89.5 KQAL. I'm Bill Stoneberg, and we've just heard about drone photography from Seth Thompson on Art Beat.
Art Beat is written and produced by KQAL FM on the campus of Winona State University. Visit us on the web at kqal.org.